And I thought of this during the Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur period, when the book of life is opened, and the judge of us all will determine who will live and who will die, who will grow rich and who will suffer poverty. And then on Yom Kippur we close the book. And the Lord has determined what will happen. And the only thing I asked after that, and why? Were we good and they bad? Obviously not.
I don't think there's any answers to those questions. Just appreciation for being alive. Siegfried Ausubel, 1943. The year is now 1750 in the Common Era, and we are here speaking with Avraham Ausubel.
Ausubel.
Ausubel. Yeah. Now, your claim to fame is that you refused to confess to the blood libel, and the Baal Shem Tov was also involved in this story.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, there was a young Polish child by the name of Stanislas Wojcicki, who was, as we refer to as the Shabbos Goy. He would light the fires for the Jews, the Orthodox Jews, of which, for practical purposes, in our shtetl, everyone was an Orthodox Jew. And just about the time of Pesach, in their calendar Easter, he disappeared. Before you know it, in the churches in town, they were declaring that the Jews had murdered Stanislas Wojcicki to get blood for the matzahs.
Oh.
A horrendous, outrageous fiction that had been propagated for centuries and had caused the loss of lives of countless Jews.
Is this the first time this blood libel was made?
No, made many times before. Now, the area was ruled by the Count Tarnowski. But it's interesting. You see, the Count Tarnowski was a child. His mother actually ruled in his name, the Countess Tarnowski. She actually was the inheritor of the region because her father was the Count Tarnowski. She had married a younger son of a duke, a drunken bum, and a lecher, and she wasn't too disappointed when he passed away, presumably, and now she ruled in the name of her son. Now, the problem was as follows. With all of this preaching going on, and with the public convinced that the Jews had murdered Stanislas Wojcicki, she had to come up with something to show that she had the strength to rule a kingdom. Otherwise, she had cousins who would more than happy take over. So I arrived at the home of the Countess Wojcicki.
Did she summon for you to come?
Oh, yes.
Why you?
I guess why I was one of the 10 elders of the Jewish community of Zhikov.
I see.
I guess she took a fancy to me for some strange reason. I mean, the fact that I have sandy hair and blue eyes, big deal. But maybe to her it was a big deal. And she's telling me what you really ought to do is we need someone who'll take responsibility for the crime. What crime, I asked. How do you know that Stanislaus is even dead? She says, doesn't make any difference whether he's dead or alive. It's being preached in every church in the region. I've got to come up with someone who did it. Look, pick yourself an old man who's tired of living, not so weak that they couldn't believe that he could lift up a knife to kill the child, and say that he killed him and put him to made him for blood in the matzahs. There's no blood in the matzahs. What are you talking about? These are brown spots where the bottom of the pan hits. I'm not going to confess to such a thing. I'm not going to have anyone confess to such a thing because it propagates an outrageous fiction. Look, in the days of my grandfather, she says, when such a thing happened, every Jew in Zhikov was slaughtered. I'm offering you one instead of a couple of thousand. No, cannot do that, because then it contributes to perpetuation of an outrage. And as a people, we cannot confess to something so outrageous that it would perpetuate again and again this type of outrage.
What did she say?
You fool. Do you know what I'm going to do? The 10 elders of the Jewish community will take communal responsibility. The 10 of you will be rounded up. We will declare it a holiday for the region. And all 10 of you will be burned to death.
Is that what happened?
Yes. I told my wife about it when she visited me before my execution. And then, of course, now I'm telling you the story in a way up in the ethereal zone. I'm no longer here. The 10 of us were tied together.
We have cell
Wood
phones.
was gathered around us, and she lit the fire, crying out, as they murdered our child Stanislas, so have they been punished. And she lit the flame, and the fires burned. This was at the edge of the river, and you had thousands of Poles around, almost like the cheering squad, for this occasion. Aha! Some embers from the fire flew up and hit her in the eyes. And she screamed, I can't see, I'm blind. Well, she was led away, they poured water on her, but she insisted she could not see. The following year, Stanislas Wojcicki shows up. Where had he been? He's not too bright a child. The gypsies had come through town. He thought he'd join the gypsy band and travel through the countryside. When he got tired of getting soaked in the rain and in the snow, he came back home to Mama.
Son of a gun.
Of course, too late for 10 Jews to be resurrected. In any case, the Countess is still left with her vision, and she's now having dreams. She's seeing a golden head, I guess my head, burning in front of her. And she comes to my widow and makes an offer. She will give each of the widows 10 gold coins. Now, mind you, we were not well-to-do people. 10 gold coins was a lot of money. But my wife refused because she knew that she had not simply killed 10 innocent men. She had killed 10 men she knew to be innocent. And she convinced the other 9 widows not to accept the money. Well, this Countess decided maybe there's another way she can get her vision back. She declared that she and her descendants forevermore would contribute wood enough to heat the synagogue in Zhikov every winter. Long after my death in 1927, the then Count of Tarnowski decided he was tired of hearing this story about his Michigan ancestor, with the burning head that she was seeing. The 10 bodies had long since been paid for in wood, and the donation was ended. And then my descendant, Joseph Ausubel, wrote the story in a Jewish periodical in Poland.
Was that the last blood libel?
No, they continued thereafter.
Hmm.
God knows, I think they're even making movies in Egypt about it. About the elders of Zion and God knows what else.
But of this nature,
The
the matzah blood.
It is sort of faded down, but unfortunately, it didn't cease.
Dr. Ausubel, you're awesome.
Thank you.
God bless you. Come back again.
Thank you.
Now,
if I could be gone for just one day, I would take the heart of man and mold it like clay. I would find love inside and shine it through the day. I would take hatred and throw it away. if I could be God,